وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا سيدي يا حبيب الله. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا سيدي يا حبيب الله. Hazrat Alhamdulillah, we are sitting here in the remembrance of Sayyidi Imam Ahmed Raza Khan Al-Barelvi, who's also known as most famously as Ala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala Ali. That was his title. And this month, especially the day that passed yesterday, the 25th of Safar, that's the day of his departure from this dunya. So who is he, and why do we have to remember him, and why do we associate ourselves with him? What's the importance of that in our lives, and why is it that we have to hold such gatherings? What's the importance of such gatherings? I will mention some of this inshallah ta'ala in the next few minutes, especially for the youngsters. Our brothers and sisters who are sitting here who don't know much about this. They simply hear the name of Ala Hazrat and also some poetry, the naat sometimes, but they don't know the background to that. And why is it important that we remember him, we stick to whatever he taught and hold on to the teachings of Sayyidi Ala Hazrat. So inshallah we'll talk about this in a few minutes. So Ala Hazrat himself, Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran that ما كان الله ليذر المؤمنين على ما أنتم عليه حتى يميز الخبيث من الطيب. That Allah Ta'ala doesn't want to, Allah Ta'ala will never leave you, the believers, on whatever you are on at the moment, until He separates the khabith, the evil, from the tayyib, from the pure ones. यानी जब तक खुदा खबीस जो चीज़ है उनको तय्यब से और पाक चीज़ों से जुदा न कर दे, यानी हक को बातिल की पहचान न करा दे, तब तक कोई कि अल्लाह ताला कोई कि तुमको वैसे नहीं छोड़ देगा जैसे तुम हो. यानी the way you are now, Allah Ta'ala will not leave you like this until He separates the evil from the pure, the tayyib. यानी खबीस और तय्यब को जुदा न कर दे तब तक अल्लाह नहीं छोड़ेगा. तो खुदा का कोई कि कानून है, अल्लाह खुद फरमाते हैं, it's one of the basic principles and rules of Almighty Allah. It's a practice of Almighty Allah that He always separates the Ahle Haqq from the Ahle Batil. And the Hadith Mubarak of Aqā alayhi salatu wasalam, that whenever and at every, especially near the Day of Judgment, Allah mentioned that near the Day of Judgment, Sayyidi Ala zaman, a time will come on the people when لا يبقي من الدين إلا اسمه ولا يبقي من القرآن إلا رسمه. That from the religion only the name will be left. Yani the actual practices and spirit and essence of deen will go away. And only the name will be left. And from the Quran only the rasm, the practice of reciting Quran in beautiful voices and with proper tajweed will be left, but the actual practicing upon the Quran and the meanings of Quran will not remain. This will happen near the Day of Judgment. And we say that they will recite Quran. People will come. You will see them reciting Quran. يقرؤون القرآن ولا يجاوز عن حناجرهم. That they will recite Quran in such a way that when you will see them, you will find your namaz compared to their namaz as nothing. And you will consider your namaz compared to their namaz as nothing. But then their Quran will never go beyond their hanajir, their throats, and will not surpass that. And you will also not consider your siyam compared to their siyam as something. So meaning that they will be indulged in ibadat. You will see them praying long salah and beautiful tilawat as well. As happens now, you can see where it is happening now. In the Haramain Sharif, when you go and you see the long prayers being done in the Ramadan, especially if you go and you look at the Salatul Layl and the beautiful tilawat that they do in that. But Hadith Pak say that this Quran will never go below or beyond their throat. It's just to show off. And you will say, Masajiduhum amira, that their masajid will be built and populated, amira. Whereas they will be kharab min al-huda, but in reality they will be destroyed when it comes to the guidance. You might see them full of people, but those people will just be numbers. They will not have the strength of Imam. Allah says, Yabrukuna min ad-deen, that they will be left from the deen. They will leave the deen, kama yamruqu sahm min al-ramiyya. Just as the arrow leaves the bow, when you shoot the arrow from the bow, just as the arrow shoots off, they will leave the deen in such a manner. Yani they will be completely detached from the deen, just that on ostentatively, openly, or showing off, they will pretend that they are perfect followers of deen, and they are great reciters of Quran, and they love Quran. But this box says, فَإِيَّاكُمْ وَإِيَّاهُمْ. Stay away from them. Never be deceived by their outward appearance and outward love of Islam and recital of Quran. فَإِيَّاكُمْ وَإِيَّاهُمْ. Stay away from them. لَا يَفْتِنُونَكُمْ وَلَا يُضِلُّونَكُمْ. They must not betray you and cause you to go astray, and they must not cause you to digress as well. For that reason, Al-Qasam has mentioned that there will be people who will digress away. There will be people who will basically go away from the actual path of Islam, and they will. Hadith Pak also clearly highlights that ستفترق أمتي إلى 73 فرقة, that my ummah will soon divide into 73 sects. He says my previous ummahs, like ummah of Nasrani and Yahudi, they were divided into 72 sects, but my ummah will divide into 73 sects. He said, كلهم في النار. Every single one of them will go to hellfire, except one, إلا ملة واحدة. And this is a Sahih Hadith now, Hadith of Bukhari Muslim. Meaning that except one millah, one mainstream jama'at that will remain on the path of my path and the path of my Sahaba Kiram. They will be on the right path. And so they will be the actual mainstream Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'at. Now originally, I will also touch upon the fact that some titles are given to certain people just to recognize. Originally we were all believers. There was no distinguishing of any groups. But when Al-Qasam has mentioned that my ummah will divide into certain groups, that means that just to highlight and just to spot the right one from the wrong, we had to give a specific name to them. For that reason, Al-Qasam mentioned that how will you recognize those who are on the right path? He mentioned that ma huma ana alayhi wa ashabi, that when you will see them, they will be Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. They will call them Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So that name was first coined by Hazrat Imam Abu al-Hasan Ash'ari. Abu al-Hasan Ash'ari was the Imam of his time when Mu'tazileen started. Mu'tazila were the people who started denying the destiny of Almighty Allah. Some of them, they started denying the Hisab of Kitab. They started denying some of other established aspects of Quran and Islam. So they were the first people who digressed away. That's why they call Mu'tazileen. I'tizal means digressing. So they are Mu'tazileen, they digressed away. So that's why they call Mu'tazila. And they departed from the path of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So at that time, Abu al-Hasan Ash'ari coined this term of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. But then he started calling the Muslims, the ones who are on the right path, as Ahlul Sunnah, whereas the other ones were Mu'tazila. So this became a main distinguishing feature. While they were all Muslims, they were all followers. They claimed to be the followers of Islam. They have great scholars. Even till this day, many great scholars, they have books written which are still read by the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, like the Tafsir Kashaf, just to give you one example, written by a great Mu'tazili, Allama Zamakhshari. He is meant to be authority in linguistics now, even till this day. But he was Mu'tazili now. So just to distinguish between the people of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah and people of I'tizal Mu'tazila, the term of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah was coined. And moving on, when some other things happen, especially come to our time, when Hazrat Fazl Haq Khairabadi sahab, in the time of Hazrat Fazl Haq Khairabadi, he was the first individual to raise the voice against Qadianis. Qadianis, they started attacking the foundation of Islam by attacking the finality of prophethood. So he was the first person to write Risail and journals against that. And then Ismail Delvi arose. Ismail Delvi wrote Taqwiyatul Iman. And in that he says that he did many of the disrespects of Aqa alayhi salatu salam, Ismail Delvi. Okay? Ismail Delvi, in the Taqwiyatul Iman, he says that no Nabi, no individual, whether his name is Muhammad or Ali, or whatever the name, no Nabi or Wali can do anything. They have no power to do whatsoever. And in front of Almighty Allah, they are completely dhaleel, na'uzubillah. So this term, which is a highly heinous term, ibarat used in Taqwiyatul Iman, and he also mentioned some other such ibarat in that. And Shaykh Abdul Haq Muhaddith Delhi was the first person to deny that. Now, when he denied, he was from Khairabad. He was called Shaykh Abdul Haq Muhaddith Khairabadi. He was a Muhaddith Khairabadi, and that's his place of living. So when he was there, so all the believers, he was arrested straight away. And when he declared a jihad against the British as well, because they were invading subcontinent at that time. So because of that, he was arrested. But when he was arrested on these bases, every single, people who were attached to Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, every single person, every single alim deen, they started calling themselves Khairabadi, just to highlight that they also by the opinion of Muhaddith Khairabadi, and best to highlight that they also on the same lines. They share the same opinion. So although they never went to Khairabad, Khairabad was a town in India. They never went there, but they started calling themselves Khairabadi because of just to share the loyalty to the viewpoints of Hazrat Muhaddith Khairabadi and show that we share the same viewpoint. So came the time of Sayyidi Ala Barelvi, and in his time there were many great fitan, and he was declared to be one of the Mujaddid, and Mujaddid means, Aqa has mentioned Hadith Mubaraka, that Inna Allah yab'athu li hadhihi al-umma ala ra'si kulli mi'ati sanadin man yujaddidu laha deenaha. That Allah Ta'ala will raise for this ummah an individual upon the beginning of every century, Islamic century, the Hijri calendar, a man who will revive the religion for this ummah. यानी हर उम्मत हर सदी के शुरू में अल्लाह ताला एक ऐसा शख्स भेजेगा जो कि इस उम्मत के लिए इसके दीन को तजदीद कर देगा. यानी ऐसी बातें, there will be people, Allah said, this Bhag said that there will be firqas, sects who will digress away from the mainstream Islam. So they will invent new things, they will bring new thoughts and philosophies in Islam. This Mujaddid will have a job of washing the face of Islam, removing them from the face of Islam. So this will revive the deen for my ummah. And there have been many mujaddideen throughout the history. Sayyidina Hazrat Umar bin Abdul Aziz was a mujaddid, and all the fuqaha kiram, the A'immah Arba'a, who were also mujtahid, and they were also mujaddid at the time. They were also A'immah of aqaid and A'immah of fiqh as well. And similarly, throughout the history, you see many great mujaddideen, Hazrat Allama Fakhruddin Razi, then you come to Hazrat Allama Jalaluddin Suyuti, then comes the time of Hazrat Shaykh Mujaddid al-Fisani, who was also known as the reviver of the second millennium. For the whole 1000 year, he did the work of revival, subhanAllah. That was the scope of his revival. That's why he's called Mujaddid al-Fisani, that he revived the whole 1000 years, subhanAllah. That's the level of his work in Maktubat Sharif and all of the great hard work that he did. And same is on the same lines is the tajdeed of Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala, who himself, Sayyidi Ala Hazrat, look at the background of Sayyidi Ala Hazrat. When he was born, right from the first day, his grandparents, they saw some dream. Hazrat Maulana Naqi Ali Khan Sahab, the grandfather of Sayyidi Ala Hazrat, he saw a dream that this dream, when he presented to ulama kiram, although he was also himself a great alim deen, when he presented that to his great ulama kiram, they told him that you will have a child. His father saw this dream and he presented that to his grandfather. He said, you will have a child who will shine on the sky, subhanallah. And he will, ऐसा बच्चा तुम्हें अता होगा जो कि बड़ा उसको fame मिलेगा. He will get very famous. So this was a hint. He had the straight after that, Hazrat Ala Hazrat was born. Imam Muhammad Khan Barelvi, he was born, His name was Muhammad first, then himself he chose the name of Ahmed Raza. And Barelvi, because he was born in Bareli Sharif and he lived there throughout, that's why he's called Barelvi. Now, right from the early age, he showed great signs of being a genius. And when he was 6 years of age, he delivered his first speech. In the 6 years, he delivered a lecture of 2 hours now. On Hazrat, just simply on the tafsir of Ad-Duha, subhanAllah. A child of 6 years of age delivering a speech on the occasion of Mawlid al-Nabi when great ulama was sitting there and they were listening to his speech for 2 hours. That itself tells you how great potential he had at that time. And he studied from his father all the books of that's in Nizami. And right from the first day, he showed some great signs of intelligence and genius. That on many occasions he would ask his father such questions that even the father, who was a great alim deen himself, he wouldn't have any answer to. And sometimes he would see on the books some notes written of his father. He would raise question on the ibarat of the books. There were getting many great books. I mean, like Musallam al-Subut is a book of principles of fiqh. Yani usul fiqh ki kitab hai Musallam al-Subut. Ab uski ke ibarat hai, us pe walid sahab, uski Hazrat Ala ke walid sahab, they write an itiraz, an objection that this ibarat should be this, like this. Instead of this, it should have been like this. When Ala Hazrat saw the itiraz, he wrote the answer underneath. He is only 10 years of age now. He writes the answer underneath here, oh father, this is although you raised an objection, but I think that if this answer is given, then the original objection is never raised. यानी अगर हम इसके बारे को ऐसे पढ़ेंगे तो पहले इतराज जो बारे ही नहीं होता. He did not present out of adab, he did not present this to his father, but his father accidentally saw this, that this is written there on the ibarat that he raised itiraz and objection on. His son, who was only 10 years of age at the moment, he wrote the answer to that as well. When he saw that, he said, oh my son, you don't study from me, you actually teach me. This is the level of Ala Hazrat. And he says, in his own Maktubat al-Malfuz, he mentions, he wrote a letter to Ziauddin Sahib, who was a great chancellor of Aligarh University at that time. He became murid of Ala Hazrat later. I will mention that inshallah in a bit. So he wrote to him that when I was 13 years of age, 13 years and a few months, 4 months I think, at that time, my father received a fatwa from Nawab of Rampur. He sent a fatwa that some ulama have given this fatwa. Can you check that and verify and also sign? Because many other ulama have signed already that this is correct fatwa, but just for reiteration, we want you to sign as well. His father was busy at that time. He said, instead of me, go inside and you will see my son there, present this to him. The person who brought the fatwa, goes inside in the room and he sees a child sitting there, 13 years of age. And he came back straight away. He said, Sayyidi, there's no alim deen there. There's only a boy sitting there. So I can't give fatwa to him. He said, you have to give fatwa to him and he will answer it. So he was astonished and shocked. How can a boy of 13 years of age, he can answer this fatwa? So he presented the fatwa. That was the very first fatwa of Ala Hazrat. He presented the fatwa to him. And this was answered by great alim deen already from Rampur. And many great ulama already had signed it that this is approved. An authentic fatwa. But when Allah saw it in the first glance, he said this fatwa is wrong. He answered wrong. So he wrote the right answer and pointed out the mistake that Alim Deen had made. When he showed it back to the father of Sayyidi Ala, he also verified that this is the right answer. The original answer was wrong, so you have to take it back to the original scholar and tell him that you made a mistake. So he went back to Rampur, and Nawab of Rampur, Nawab means the governor of the Rampur, he was there. And he was actually involved in this entire fatwa. When he saw the answer of Ala Hazrat, he was astonished. Because he thought that our alim deen of the Darbar at that time was very well versed. So he should have given the right answer. And other ulama have also stamped it and verified. So when he saw the rejection from Ala Hazrat, he was astonished and he called that alim deen who gave the first fatwa. And when he saw the answer, he accepted straight away. He was a genuine alim deen. He accepted straight away that this was my mistake. So when he later learned that the person who answered this fatwa is only a young boy at that time, so he was astonished. The Nawab of Rampur, then he wanted to meet Ala Hazrat. So he sent a request to see Ala Hazrat. Ala Hazrat replied that I don't want to go to the people of wealth. It's not for me. I'm sitting here doing the service of my Aqa alayhi salatu wasalam. So I will not go to his service. But if he wants to come and see, then I will I will welcome him here. So then eventually when one occasion Ala Hazrat was in Rampur himself, and Nawab learnt that Ala Hazrat is here. So he came to himself to see Ala Hazrat, and he presented a silver chair to Ala Hazrat, just to highlight the taqwa of Ala Hazrat in that age as well. When he was 20, by the time he reached there, he was 20 years of age. So at that time he says, I will not sit on this chair because this is haram for men to utilize this silver as furniture. Silver cannot be used as furniture, that's haram. So I can't sit. So he became ashamed. The Nawab became ashamed. Then he told him to sit on the bed instead. When he sat there, he said that you should study some books from Abdul Haq, Sheikh Abdul Haq Khairabadi, the son of Muahaddith Khairabadi. Khairabadi was a great man of authority in that's in Nizami as well. He wrote many great books and shuruhat, and he also replied many great fitan of the time, as I just mentioned earlier. And he was arrested because of that as well. But his son became Wahhabi, Nauzubillah. Abdullah Khairabadi became a supporter of Wahhabis due to his destiny and his taqdeer eventually. When he came, Al-Hazrat, Nawab of Rampur said that you should study some books from him as well. Because Al-Hazrat was still a young boy, he said you should study something from Abdullah Khairabadi. When he came, he questioned about him. He told him that I've already studied the Qadi Mubarak. Qadi Mubarak is the final book of Mantiq. Alhamdulillah, I've studied that, Alhamdulillah. So Qadi Mubarak, he says that I have studied it already. So that Abdullah Khairabadi was a great alim. He was astonished that this young lad already studied Qazi Mubarak as well. So he started questioning him. When he saw the level of knowledge of Ala Hazrat, then he said that at least you should study something, some hayat with me. I'm a master of hayat, so you should study with me. So when in the discussion he learnt about Ala Hazrat's while he was occupied with replying the Wahhabis, he said, I spend most of my time replying the Wahhabis and the fitnah of Wahhabis and all the disrespect they have committed of Aqal Islam and many wrong aqaid they have introduced to the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So he will learn that he has an inclination towards Wahhabis. Abdul Haq Abdullah Khairabadi, he said that I will never study under you because you have an inclination towards Wahhabism. So, and you're supporting them. So I can, me studying with you will be disrespect to the alim ulama kiram. So I will never study under you. So Ala Hazrat rejected that. So that was the level of his taqwa, level of his piety and his love for deen and love for truth. That throughout his life, he always kept supporting the haqq always. And he himself says that when he, on many occasions, many ulama kiram would come to him asking questions. So he, in one day, he would give answers to hundreds of fatawas in early age. His father completely, delegated the entire institution of fatawa to him. So all the fatawa that would come to father and himself, he would answer that. In a day, he would answer 100 fatawa at a time. That was the level of Ala Hazrat's authority even at that time. And at the very young age, Ala Hazrat says that when he went for tasmiyah, right from the tasmiyah, from the first day, when he started the tasmiyah, the Bismillah Sharif, at the age of 3, I think. At that time, the alim deen who was teaching him, he wanted him to read Lam Alif. Lam Alif. And I said, I've already read Alif and Lam already. You taught me Alif and you taught me Lam as well. Why do you want me to read Lam Alif now? He said, this is one of the ways of teaching you joint words, compound words, Lam Alif, that words can also be connected together. This is especially for the youngsters, the kids sitting here studying Qaida. So Lam Alif is teaching you that words sometimes come as compound. Okay, they can be connected together and just to form words. So letters sometimes they'll be alone, but sometimes they'll be connected to make words. So Lam Alif is one of the basic, you can say, composition to teach you how the words are formed. He said, why would you say Lam Alif? You can also say Alif Lam or something else. You can say Ba Alif or Ta Alif. Why would you use Lam Alif only? So even at that age, he's critically analyzing and cross-questioning the teacher at that time. He's age of 4 or 3 maybe at that time. And when he presented the same problem to his father Naqi Ali Khan sir, he said, "Oh Sayyidi, your son, you sent him for studying to me, and he doesn't want to study. He's cross-questioning me and he's testing my knowledge instead." So his father asked him, why are you raising objection on La Malif? He said, Ya Hazrat, La Malif. I mean, when he presented the problem to him, so he realized, his father realized that that this is also, this level of understanding and level of, you can say, cognitive ability is much higher than the teachers. So he replied that this is murakkabat. So instead of singular, now a teacher is teaching you murakkab. So therefore you have to listen to a teacher. So eventually, Al-Hazrat accepted that, but the way he questioned the teacher, that indicated that he was, even at that age, at the age of 3 and 4, he was thinking, very critically. So, but our students, mashallah, at this age, who are 3 and 4, they can't, we can't admit them, we only admit them at the age of 6. And you chase out and then we give them the dakhla, admission. But our kids, they don't have that capacity. But you can imagine the capacity of Al-Hazrat at that age. So right from the early age, he showed some great signs of great intelligence and also genius. And Al-Hazrat says himself that, make it short now, time is very short, I wanted to finish at 7:30. Just to highlight some of the great aspects of Al-Hazrat, that he wrote, the greatest work that Al-Hazrat did was the Fatawa Rizviyah Sharif. 22 volumes of that have been printed. There's so much of that is still missing, but 22 volumes have been printed, and this spans on 22,000 pages now. And 22,000 safat hai, aur every single page and every single fatwa of that is ocean of knowledge. Even till this day, even ulama cannot read that. Most of that is in Arabic or in Persian or in Urdu, strong Urdu, classical Urdu. Most of ulama can't read that and can't decode that. So this is the level of the authority of Al-Hazrat. And also, he wrote the tarjuma of the Quran, the Kanzul Iman. That tarjuma itself is a great display of the knowledge of Al-Hazrat. Tafsir of Quran, he says that I started writing tafsir of Quran, and just for Surah Al-Duha, I wrote 80 volumes on Surah Al-Duha. So I don't have that much time to write the entire tafsir. So he wrote the Tarjuma Kanzul Iman just to summarize everything. And this is most up-to-date tarjuma. Even till this day, that's the most up-to-date tarjuma. And most correct, and also most authentic, and in terms of the aqaid, most reliable tarjuma of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Kanzul Iman. I will just give you one example, just to highlight the importance of Al-Hazrat tarjuma, that you see many verses of the Quran, just one verse, take one verse of Surah Al-Duha. See how Al-Hazrat, gave importance to Aqidah and also respect of Haqq and love of Haqq when translating the tarjuma of Kanzul Iman. The tarjuma, which is completely immersed in the love of and mahabbat of Haqq, when you will read this tarjuma, that will naturally increase your Iman. So this is what you can see by this one example, and after that, inshallah, I will conclude my speech quickly. وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى, verse of Surah Al-Duha. Many Mufassirin Kiram of the time who belonged to the sects that Al-Hazrat was always refuting and rebutting. Muhammad Asad was one of them. He said that Allah Ta'ala found you lost. So this is a verse for Aqal Salam in his praise. وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. They translate that Allah Ta'ala found you lost, na'uzubillah, and He guided you. Then another one says, Muhammad al-Lahuri says, He found you groping, so He showed you the way. Another disrespect, na'uzubillah. And they're associating such low esteemed words to Aqal Salam. And he says, Ashraf Ali Thanwi says, who was one of the leaders of the people of Deoband, he says that he found you uninformed of Islamic law, na'uzubillah. So he told you the way to Islamic law. Again, a disrespect. Similarly, Fatih Muhammad Jalindri, another from the digressed, you can say the deviants, he says that and saw you unaware of the way. and he showed you the way, na'uzubillah. But when it came to Al-Hazrat himself, he says that Dalla also comes for love. In Muhabbat, subhanallah. Dalla is in Islamic, in Arabic language, metaphorically is used for Muhabbat, subhanallah. So the meaning is not that he found you misguided. It means that he found you lost. He found you completely drowned in the love, subhanallah. And then he showed you the way towards him, subhanallah. That indicates that how Al-Hazrat made sure that every single word was translated with love of Aqal. There's so many examples, but I will not go into that. But another great aspect of that is the poetry of Al-Hazrat. That's also a great source of increasing iman and love for Aqal. But inshallah we'll speak on that another occasion. Just one thing I want to address, one last thing, which I've spoken already about in the beginning, that when new fitan arise, then you have to distinguish yourself from that. I gave example of how Ash'aris and how Maturidis were distinguished from Mu'tazilin because just with the name. So Maturid is also a place. And Ash'ari refers to Abu al-Hasan Ash'ari. But all the followers of Abu al-Hasan Ash'ari and all the followers of Maturidi, they are called Maturidis. Even till this day, we are Hanafi Maturidi and Hanafi Ash'ari as well. So, and all the followers of Imam Azam are called Hanafi just to distinguish that they don't follow other three schools of thought. They only follow Hanafi. So it's not therefore a discrimination. It's just to highlight the difference of opinions that we have. It's just to highlight that we follow a special school of thought. So in this day and age, when we come, there are many sects now, and none of them is on the right. Hadith Pak says, "Kulluhum fin nar illa millatan wahida." And we have to believe that the millat wahida that the teachings of Sahaba Kiram and Aqal Salam referred to was definitely shown by Al-Hazrat himself. Al-Hazrat Ahmed Raza Al-Barelvi. And he was Barelvi because he lived in Bareli. But for us to associate with him, just to highlight that we call ourselves Barelvi because we buy the same argument, subhanAllah. We follow the same path. So just distinguish us from the other digressists and deviants, we call ourselves Barelvi. I've heard that in our community here, we have a confusion. That why do we call ourselves Barelvi? I'm sure that every single one who's sitting here, they all definitely agree with the Aqaidah of Al-Hazrat. So we all are definitely 100% on the Aqaidah of Al-Hazrat. And no one disagrees with anything. But just to have a confusion about the word Barelvi, and we are now Barelvi. We don't live there, but we associate ourselves with him. Just so that on the day of judgment, and also whenever it comes to distinguish ourselves from the deviants, we will be on the side of Al-Hazrat definitely. We won't be on anybody else's side. So we will be Barelvi. Yes, you don't have to proclaim it openly in every single forum, but whenever it comes to differentiate yourself from others, you have to say that you're Barelvi definitely. There has to be no doubt in that. Because if you want to stick to the truth in this day and age, then that will be only found in the teachings of Al-Hazrat. You won't find this in anywhere else. Alhamdulillah, this has been established, and we can go on and on about this. But time is short, so I want to conclude it there. But if you still have any questions regarding that, you can always approach me, inshallah ta'ala. And in future lectures, we can also address this, inshallah, on the occasion of Jum'ah. May Allah give us the ability to stick to the teaching of Al-Hazrat, and also learn from the teaching of Al-Hazrat, and also adopt his teaching in our life, and also stay away from the deviants and all those who have digressed away from the path of Islam. Alhamdulillah, we'll just stand up very quickly and read Salatu Salam, and after that inshallah make a quick dua.
लाखों सलाम शुमाए बज़ में हिदायत पे, लाखों सलाम शुमाए बज़ में हिदायत पे, लाखों सलाम जिनके कदमों जिनके कदमों के बोझ से قلبوں کی عظمت پہ لاکھوں سلام مصطفیٰ جان رحمت پہ لاکھوں سلام
ڈال دی قلب میں عظمت مصطفیٰ سیدی اعلیٰ حضرت پہ لاکھوں سلام مصطفیٰ جان رحمت پہ لاکھوں سلام صدقہ حسنین و صحاب رسول یہ سلام عاجزانہ ہو قبول صلاۃ والسلام علیکہ سیدی رسول اللہ آمین اللہم صلی علی سیدنا مولانا محمد وعلی آلہ وصحبہ وبارک وسلم وسلم فاتحہ شریف پڑھ لیجیے بسم اللہ اللهم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم يا إله العالمين ہماری طرف سے تمام اول تاخیر اس محفل کی بارگاہ میں قبول منظور فرما اور تمام کا ثواب آقا علیہ السلام کو پیش کرتے ہیں آپ علیہ السلام کو عطا فرما فاتح شریف اور اخلاص شریف اور لنگر شریف کو پیش کر گیا سب کا ثواب آقا علیہ السلام کو عطا فرما آپ کو اسلام مبارک سب کو والدین کریمین جملہ انبیاء کرام کے صحابہ کرام آقا علیہ السلام کے صحابہ کرام آپ کے خلفاء راشدین اور آپ کے ازواج مطہرات امہات المؤمنین آپ کے ماتحت طیبات بالخصوص اما حضور سیدۃ النساء العالمین کو عطا فرما اور آپ کی جمیع عزت مبارک جمیع صحابہ کرام صحابیات کو عطا فرما جمیع تابعین ائمہ مجتہدین اور علماء ربانیین علماء اولیاء صالحین کو عطا فرما بالخصوص سیدی غوث اعظم رضی اللہ تعالیٰ عنہ کو عطا فرما آپ کے والدین و اقرباء لاحقین آپ کے مشائخ اور آپ کے اساتذہ آپ کے مریدین کو عطا فرما آپ کی جمیع اولاد طاہر کو بھی عطا فرما اور تمام سلسلے کے تمام بزرگانی کو عطا فرما بالخصوص کا ثواب جناب سیدی اعلیٰ حضرت کو عطا فرما اور آپ کی تمام رفقاء اور آپ کے اہل خانہ کو آپ کی اولاد طاہر کو بھی عطا فرما اور آپ کے مریدین کو عطا فرما اور آپ کے متبعین قیامت تک آنے والے تمام متبعین کو اس کا ثواب عطا فرما دعوت اس کی برکت سے اور اولیاء صالحین کے ذکر کی برکت سے ہمارے گناہوں کو معاف فرما یہاں بیٹھنے والے ہر شخص کو اس ذکر کی برکتیں نصیب فرما ہم سب کے گناہوں کو معاف فرما ہم سب کی زندگی میں سکون اور راحتی عطا فرما اور عقائد صحیح اہل سنت والجماعت پر ہمیشہ قائم رہنے کی توفیق عطا فرما ہمارے اولاد یہاں بیٹھے ہیں جو بچے یہاں بیٹھے ہیں گھر میں سن رہے ہیں نیچے بیٹھے ہیں عورتیں سب کو برکت عطا فرما ہمیشہ ہم سب کو لے کر پر گامزن رہنے کی توفیق عطا فرما اس مسجد کو عبدالآباد تک قائم فرما اور ہمیشہ اس کو اہل سنت والجماعت کا مرکز بنا اور ہمیشہ صحیح عقائد یہاں سے پرچار ہوتا رہے اور ہمیشہ یہاں خدمت کرنے والوں کو اور یہاں کی منتظمین کو اور متعلقین کو ہر تک خیر عطا فرما ہر شر سے محفوظ فرما ہم سب کی اولادوں کو نیک راہ پر گامزن فرما غیر غیر میں ہمارے ایمانوں کی اور ہمارے احوال کی اخلاق کی اور ہر قسم کی شرور سے ہم سب کی حفاظت فرما اللہم ربنا یسر لنا امورنا حضرات نے لنگر شریف میں حصہ ڈالا ہے بالخصوص ان سب کو برکتیں عطا فرما ترقیاں عطا فرما اور مزید بڑھ چڑھ کر خدمت دین کی توفیق عطا فرما تو اسی کی کہہ رہے ہو جو حضرات بیمار ہیں بالخصوص صحیح صادق صاحب اور ان کے بیٹے بیمار ہیں ان کو شفا کاملہ عطا فرما اور پوری کمیونٹی میں بہت سے لوگ اور بیمار ہیں درخواست بھی کی ہے ان کو محفل میں آنا چاہ رہے تھے لیکن آ نہیں پائے ان کو مکمل شفا بھی عطا فرما اور آندہ بیماریوں سے محفوظ فرما گھروں میں سکون عطا فرما ہر قسم کے رنجشوں سے تکالیف سے مسائل والام سے امراض سے ہر بے رحمی سے بدعقیدگی سے بدعمالی سے اور رزق حرام سے ہم سب کو محفوظ فرما اللہم ربنا یسر لنا امورنا من راحت لقلوبنا وابداننا مع السلامة والعافية في ديننا ودنيانا إنك على كل شيء قدير سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين نويت سنة الاعتداء